Princeton University is racist. And I know this because I can find web articles on the website that say things like, call it racist, President Eisgruber. Because apparently on the admissions form for their applications to the university, they have the box. And ticking the box is an admission that you have a criminal record. And this is racism. Says a lot about the people who are complaining about the box. But Princeton decided to keep the box, thereby proving that they are in fact a bunch of racists who are calling black people criminals. I don't really know. But this continues. I mean, you can see by the CNN article, racism is chiseled on their walls because they have buildings named after Woodrow Wilson. And after a sustained campaign about this in 2016, Princeton even decided to keep Woodrow Wilson on those walls. Now, Woodrow Wilson had some opinions about black people because a lot of people did back in his day, and he was in favor of segregated universities in this particular instance. So, absolutely, this is definitely institutional racism. And if you fast forward to September the 2nd, 2020, Princeton University put out this statement, an update and overview of Princeton University's ongoing efforts to combat systemic racism. My goodness, Princeton. You're not going to tell us that there's systemic racism at your university to this very day, are you? That would be bad, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure there must be some kind of actual law on the books in America that says you're not allowed to racially discriminate. So let's see what your excuse is. President Christopher Eisgruber has written a letter to the university community to outline the next steps the university administration will take to address systemic racism at Princeton and beyond. Well, calm down, President. You actually only have to address the systemic racism at Princeton, but it's an interesting admission that you say that actually our university is systemically racist. I'm guessing that you're someone who's concerned about social justice, and I'm guessing that I know what your definition is, and it's not the one that's usually being used. But in this video, you'll see how the Motte and Bailey strategy that social justice activists use to defend allegations of racism where clearly no racism exists, how they can come back to bite you. But anyway, Eisgruber charged the university cabinet to develop plans and proposals on ways to combat systemic racism at Princeton and beyond. He asserted, as a university, we must examine all aspects of this institution, from our scholarly work to our daily operations, with a critical eye and bias towards action. This will be an ongoing process, one that depends on concrete and reasoned steps. I'm behind you. Totally behind you. On September the 2nd, he updated the university cabinet's progress, emphasizing that addressing systemic racism means looking at Princeton as a whole, involving both scholarly initiatives and practical operations throughout the university. He noted the cabinet's work on this vital topic will continue throughout the year. Princeton contributes to the world through teaching and research of unsurpassed quality, and we must continue to find ways to bring that mission to bear against racism, against all of the discrimination that damages the lives of people of color. And that, apparently, happens in Princeton University. Well, I hope someone doesn't do something about this. I hope that the clearly the racist in chief at Princeton University, an obviously racist person, was it Christopher Eisenberg, obviously racist person running an obviously racist university. There must be some sort of, I don't know, legal action that can be taken. Oh, what's that? There is. There's a letter here from the Trump administration's Department of Education that's opening an investigation into the racism at Princeton University. That's music to my ears. That's exactly what I want to hear. I can't even say this with a straight face. This has been such a beautiful thing. It's just landed in our laps and gone, oh, by the way, this will brighten your day. Let's listen to this. Dear President Eisgruber, since you became president in 2013, in exchange for well over $75 million in federal Title IV taxpayer funds alone, Princeton University has repeatedly represented and warranted to the U.S. Department of Education Princeton's compliance with the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, blah, blah, blah. Title VI provides no person in the U.S. shall, on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Also, Princeton has made many material non-discrimination and equality opportunity representation to students, parents, consumers for the market for education certificates. On September the 2nd, 2020, you admitted Princeton's educational program is, and for decades has been, racist. get what you deserve. Among other things, you said racism and the damage it does to people of color persist at Princeton, even under your administration. President Eisgruber, was it? Yeah, Eisgruber. Sorry, it's an unusual name. Racist assumptions remain embedded in the structures of the university itself. Now, for those of us who have had some experience reading a bit of critical race theory and have maybe looked once or twice at some of the videos that these people produce and maybe sparred with their activists on Twitter, you're well aware that they think that everything is racism. Everything that a white man has built is a form of white supremacy and therefore is racist against non-white people by default. It doesn't matter how much those non-white people like what has been created here in our countries. It doesn't matter how much they want to join the countries. It doesn't matter how much they desire to immigrate here. It doesn't matter how many millions of non-white people move to the white supremacy in order to take advantage of it. None of that matters. By the Bailey description, everything's racist. But of course, once you start challenging and go, well, hang on a second, that sounds ludicrous, they retreat into the mot, the secure mot, and say, actually, no. Well, maybe I've got that the other way around. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. They say no, racism is racial discrimination. It is prejudice against someone on the basis of race. And this is what Trump's education department is doing here. They were using everything's institutional structures of systemic systems that oppress and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they go, okay, so you're a bunch of racists. Are you discriminating against people on the basis of race? Uh-oh. You also said that Princeton is exploring the possibility of new credit or degree granting program that would extend Princeton's teaching to a new range of students from communities disproportionately affected by systemic racism and related forms of disadvantage. Because of racism, you announced race-based diversity measures for hiring, procurement, teaching, fellowship, and research funding. I'll skip over the link. Based on its admitted racism, the U.S. Department of Education is concerned Princeton's non-discrimination and equal opportunities assurances in its program participation agreements from 2013 to the present may have been false. 2013, when the president of the university took over. The department is further concerned Princeton perhaps knew or should have known these assurances were false at the time they were made. Finally, the department is further concerned that Princeton's many non-discrimination and equal opportunity claims to students, parents, and consumers in the market for education certificates may have been false, misleading, and actionable substantial misrepresentations. Therefore, the Department's Office of Post-Secondary Education, blah, 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 is opening this investigation. Princeton should provide the requested records, make available the identified Princeton personnel for transcribed interviews under oath, etc., etc. So they're going to go and get as much information as they can. So produce each record that you identified, referred to, described, relied upon, reviewed, or used in any way in preparing your written response. Please identify and describe in detail such record, etc., etc. Good news. That is so funny. That is so funny. Just turning their obsession with racism and calling everything racist around onto them. Just do it. It's amazing. It's a great idea. Say, okay, well, we're going to use our definition of racism, and when you call yourselves racist, we're going to take you at your word. We're going to go, yeah, you are racist. Absolutely. And I wholeheartedly believe it. I wholeheartedly believe that the critical race theorists, the intersectionalists, the progressives are white supremacists with guilty consciences. And they look at their success and say, well, my goodness, this must be because there is some inherent racial advantage to us because we are white. Even though if you actually look at the racial breakdown of not only the United States, but the United Kingdom, you find that white European descended people are actually not at the top. At least by averages. By averages, they're actually somewhere around the middle, and you get various other ethnic groups that move to these countries and do really rather well for themselves. And they don't complain about the white supremacy. They're not the ones who are saying that the United States is racist. It's for some reason our academics who have decided that actually our new definition is just as good as your old definition, even though now it's getting you in trouble. But I love the way the New York Times frames this. Princeton admitted past racism. Now it's under investigation. No, they said right up until the present, New York Times. They said it was until the present. They are admitting that there are a bunch of racists running this school. And the thing is, you know you can't disagree. If you disagree, you're going to have to explain why you're not racist. And you're going to have to default back to the racism is a negative opinion, and we don't have negative opinions, therefore we're not racist, therefore Princeton is saved, and therefore intersectionality is destroyed forever. You can't go down that road. You know you can't go down that road. But one of the things I love about this, they explain what's going on here. And then gets to... Here we go. The Terry Hartle, the Senior Vice President of the American Council on Education, has said that this is a taxpayer-funded, politically motivated fishing expedition, and it was an unwarranted attack on genuine efforts to recognize and right the wrongs of history. Sounds like you're admitting to being a giant racist. But I love this. I love this. The investigation follows a series of moves by the Trump administration challenging Ivy League universities. Yeah, they seem to be like cathedrals of social justice. They seem to actually need to go. At least the people staffing them at the moment, because they appear to be a giant bunch of racists who actually think that non-white people are inferior to white people. And I mean, that to me is just literally the key definition of racism. But nothing that they ask for, do, or, none of their political positions are justified if people of non-white people, I'm not going to say people of color, I hate that phrase, but if non-white people are not inferior to white people, then none of this is necessary. But if they are, well, found you racists. In August, after a 2-year investigation of a complaint by a coalition of Asian American organizations, the Justice Department accused Yale of violating civil rights law by illegally discriminating against white and Asian American applicants. They did do this. I personally think that this was a justified accusation against them as well. It got struck down, though. The federal judge ruled in Harvard's favor, but the government has continued to support the plaintiffs. And it's because they seem to openly be saying fewer Asians, fewer whites, more blacks, more Hispanics. And I'm just thinking, okay, let's assume that they weren't racist. Let's assume best case scenario. What they're doing just really looks like racism. It really looks like they're going, no, these races are too good. These races are not good enough. And it's our job to somehow tip the scales. And that's pretty awful, isn't it? Let's be honest. But Yale and Harvard have denied their policies are discriminatory, saying their admission processes adhere to both federal law and Supreme Court rulings that have generally supported affirmative action. The problem is affirmative action is a violation of your civil rights code. I mean, there's a reason that California is proposing legislation to repeal the anti-discrimination laws so they can have affirmative action, which is a race-based advantage or a race-based disadvantage, depending how you want to look at it, which I would say is a form of racism, institutionalized, as it were. But this is just the best bit. Legal experts have described the Trump administration's moves against Ivy League schools as an extension of conservative legal efforts to end race-based college admissions policies, a battle that is expected to eventually reach a Supreme Court that leans more conservative after 2 appointments. So, once again, the Republicans, the conservatives, are going after the Democrats' racism. Because is it not good to end race-based college admission policies? Why are we not on that side? I mean, I as a liberal feel like I should be on that side. I don't feel like there should be race-based criteria for college admissions. And I don't think you should change the law to allow you to do that. I think that's a sign that you've actually lost the plot and are perhaps the very racists you are being accused of being. Anyway, folks, if you'd like to support the channel, you can check out our merch store, which will be linked in the description and pinned in the comments. Obviously, we've been demonetized, so this is what keeps the lights on until we've got this new website up, but it won't be long. The office is coming along very, very well. That's why these videos are coming so late in the day, to be honest. We're spending all day sorting out things at the office, and we're looking forward to making the transition. It should be, I'm hoping it'll be within about a month from now that we'll finally be up and running and actually, off and flying on the new set. I'm really excited about it. I think the other guys are as well. And I think you'll be in something good. And I will be closing this merch store once we've done that. We'll doubtless get new merch for the new venture. But these will become limited items, collector's edition, if you will. You won't be able to get them again anywhere else, at least not the original authentic ones. And I mean, if you think a knockoff is good enough, then maybe you should just go buy a knockoff. But I wouldn't. I would want the actual original. I'd want to say, no, this is a real one. And if you'd like one, you can check out our merch store. I'll see you in the next video, folks.